I had already planned to talk about Make-A-Wish children, but this is a good segue. They actually warn you in training that it's very emotional to meet Make-A-Wish children, and they're absolutely right. I'm already gonna cry thinking about it. The first time I met a Make-A-Wish child, I was in training. I was friends with one of the country bears, and there were 3 of us all together doing group pictures. I just remember that it was a little boy, maybe 5 years old. All the Make-A-Wish children wear a button on them. They also are allowed to skip the line for any meet and greet, any ride, anything. And they absolutely deserve the VIP treatment. I also had the opportunity to actually work at Give Kids the World on staff there and as a Disney performer. Disney sends characters there every week. The things that those families go through just to make one magical week for their child is astounding. Those kids and those families deserve everything, and I tried to give it to them. So I'm going to talk about something that makes me lose faith in humanity, and then about something that restores it. In a previous video, I spoke about Make-A-Wish children. They come to Disney with their families for 1 week, and they stay at Give Kids the World. Those families are going through so much and deserve everything that is given to them. I cannot tell you how many times a rude guest complains about Make-A-Wish children skipping lines. They'll say something like, "Oh, I wish I could do that." It's like, what are you even doing at this point? You see the giant button that says Make-A-Wish. What then restores my faith is that sometimes character attendants will talk back to these guests. I've seen it happen several times, and it's amazing. Some dad would be like, "Oh, I wish I could do that." And the attendant would be like, "Do you realize why they're here?" And refer to the button. And the guest would be like, "Oh, well, they shouldn't have to skip the line." And the attendant said, "Sorry, they have a life-threatening illness." Okay, so the person who made these comments that I'm responding to, I ended up blocking. So this is more of a PSA. Y'all don't get to critique Wish children for choosing to go to Disney. These children have life-threatening illnesses, and they choose to go to Disney with their families. They are children. I'm also going to tell you about a boy that I met who's a Wish child. He was older, and he shared with me that he didn't actually wish to go to Disney for his wish. But he had a younger sister who was about 4. Their family had spent all of their money on his medical treatments. They were never going to be able to financially recover from that. So he decided to pick Disney as his wish so his 4-year-old sister could go and meet princesses. It essentially would have been their only opportunity to have a vacation ever, and potentially his sister's only time ever being able to go to Disney. Sometimes these children have more compassion than any adult I've ever met, and that's the truth. I think you may be asking 2 different questions here, but I'm going to try to answer them. The Make-A-Wish Foundation is an organization that largely focuses on U.S. children. Their mission, as I understand it, is to grant wishes for children with life-threatening illnesses. Now, I'm not sure what illnesses exactly qualify you for a wish granting, but the amount of Wish children that you actually see in the park compared to any other child is pretty small. I also worked at Give Kids the World Village, which is where they stay. There are also other wish granting organizations other than Make-A-Wish. Make-A-Wish is just the biggest one. Now notice I said life-threatening and not terminal. There are plenty of Wish children who do get better. Some Wish children even go on to volunteer at Give Kids the World when they're adults. That's actually really amazing to see, and I can talk about that later. If you're a former Wish child, go ahead and comment down below. If you want to hear more about the wish granting process, go ahead and let me know. You guys seem really interested in the Make-A-Wish program and Give Kids the World, so I'm going to talk about it. Not only was I a Disney performer, but I also was an entertainment coordinator for Give Kids the World. I only did this for a short time, but it was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. Every single Wish child that comes to Give Kids the World gets a star. They write their name on the star or have a family member help them. They deposit them into a magic box, and overnight a fairy hangs them in the star tower. One of the scariest things I've ever done and one of the coolest things I've ever done is help hang the stars. Every night, the entertainment coordinators are the one who play the fairy and get to hang the stars. It's not super magical, but you have to actually go up in a lift in the tower. It's super cool, and I'm not even afraid of heights, but it is a little bit terrifying. The most amazing thing is when families would come back after their child has passed away and get to see their star. So I'm going to tell you why I care so deeply for Make-A-Wish children. As you can see, I don't have a green screen background. This is just my house. I didn't want any distractions. This is also going to be a little bit of a longer video, so I hope you're ready. When I was 8 years old and visiting my grandmother in New Jersey, she had seen an article in a newspaper about a little girl from Queens, New York, who had had cancer. She had a brain tumor. Her family was asking for donations to help with her medical care. Her name was Jamie, and she was the exact same age as me. My grandparents were of good means and were able to send a donation. However, my grandmother also wanted to send a package to the little girl with some toys, and she also wanted me to write a letter. This started a several-year-long amazing friendship. Jamie and I would send letters to each other. She sent me pictures of herself, and she told me about her Make-A-Wish. Her wish is that she wanted to learn how to ride a horse. She grew up in New York, and that was not something she ever learned how to do. The Make-A-Wish Foundation had reached out to Chuck Norris. Yes, that Chuck Norris. And she was able to go to his ranch in Texas for a whole week. And he taught her how to ride a horse. I have the picture somewhere. I'm going to try and dig it up. She sent me a picture of her sitting on the couch in his living room with him. I can still see it in my mind. It is so cool. Jamie and I wrote to each other until we were 12 years old. In May of 2000, when we were both 12 years old, Jamie died. I got a letter from her grandmother in response to my last letter to her. I had known this was a possibility the entire time, even though I was so young. I knew that she probably wouldn't live to be an adult. But my friendship with her was beyond that. I almost forgot she was sick. She was just a normal girl who wanted to talk about normal things. As of late, I've been trying to find her family, and I haven't been super successful. I found an article from 2000 in a Queens newspaper where they were renaming her school after her, but I haven't been able to find contact information for her family anymore, and I was so young, I don't have it anymore. But if you are a part of Jamie's family, I cannot tell you how much of an impact she has had on my life. I think about her so much. When I worked at Give Kids the World Village, I thought about her daily. I saw her in the faces of all of those wish children that I worked with. I know this isn't my normal Disney video where I, talk about my time there, but I just really feel like I needed to share this. Just on the chance that somebody out there knows her family or can find her family. I can't tell you how important she has been to me.